I want to talk about something I call the Nic Cage Con, mostly because alliteration. It's fun to say. For the record, I like Nic Cage. Obviously, he is a good actor, at least some of the time. Adaptation, Leaving Las Vegas, Raising Arizona. There are lots of examples. Oh, that new movie, Pig, that he's in, that was shot here in Portland. Apparently, it's very, very good. But a lot of Nic Cage movies are not good. And that's kind of become the thing that people like about him is that he's in so many movies, all of the time. And they're mostly bad, but they're like fun bad. He's so over the top, delivering lines in a weird, kind of crazy way, doing weird, movements and stuff. And he makes the movies fun. That seems to be the general perception of Nic Cage films. And that is a lie. We've all seen the clips, The Bees, Not the Bees, and what's that crazy vampire movie he was in. But in terms of the whole movie being like that, or enough of the movie being like that to justify watching it, Face Off would be a good example of that, where just the whole movie is batshit insane, terrible ridiculousness.
God, I miss that face.
Highly recommend. But for the most part, it's like the 3 Nicolas Cage movies I just watched over the last couple of weeks, all of which came out in 2019. This man never stops working. First one I'll talk about, Primal, where he is the main character. He is a hunter. He hunts exotic, wild animals, takes them illegally, sells them illegally to zoos or what have you. This is how he makes his money. He ends up on this ship with a man who is a really, really bad man. And of course, the man gets free on the ship. And so now Nic Cage has to hunt the most dangerous game or whatever, right? It's obvious that's what's going to happen from the get-go. There are maybe a couple of funny little Nic Cage parts. I can't even remember any, honestly. It's just mostly boring. You know exactly what's going to happen. You know he's going to hunt the guy. You know he's going to get to the guy. You know he's going to kill the guy with the damn jaguar. Spoilers, by the way. Although I'll say he did kill him in a way that I didn't expect. I thought it was going to be Nic Cage and the bad guy in like a standoff. He's got a gun. The other one's got a gun. What are they going to do? And then the jaguar comes out of nowhere and, jumps on the bad guy and that's it. But no, it was more fun than that. I'll give it that. He gets the bad guy, traps him like he would an animal, right, up by the legs, and then injects him with this like paralyzer. He's still conscious, but he can't move. And then he lets the jaguar out of the cage. That was pretty fun. Famke Janssen is in this movie too. It's really hard to recognize her. It looks like she just had some Botox or filler done. Her face looks very puffy. She can barely smile. There's a part at the end where she's talking to Nic Cage where she tries to smile and it's just awful. She can't do it. Man, is this really better than just aging? Than just getting older and having wrinkles? So that was Primal. Boring, not worth a watch at all. The next one I'll talk about is A Score to Settle. This is another one. Nic Cage as the lead actor. It's kind of it's exactly what the title says, A Score to Settle. He is in a mob type thing and he gets shackled with a murder and so he goes to jail for it. He's only supposed to go to prison for a few years. He ends up going for 19 years, I think. So he's not even able to help raise his son. He's just stuck in this prison. He gets out and is going to have his revenge. Again, there's just nothing to say about this movie. It is so incredibly boring. This one was longer too, if I remember correctly. I think it was almost 2 hours. No. Oh, and I just realized I actually have 4 to talk about, so there are 2 more. I completely forgot. This is how unmemorable blah these movies are. What's the Willy's Wonderland? Not Wonka. Willy's Wonderland, right? Which is like the Five Nights at Freddy's game, kind of, but turned into a movie. No, it's like kind of funny, the gimmick, for the first few minutes where it's like, oh, he's locked in this kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese place with animatronics and like he doesn't seem to care and they come to life and he doesn't seem to care and he beats them up and then his watch goes off telling him it's break time and then he goes to his break like nothing happens. It's funny at first and then it just keeps happening and then that's it. That's the movie. He doesn't say anything, I'm pretty sure. He does not say anything the entire movie, which is like not what you want from Nic Cage. Usually when he's at his funniest, he's saying something. He's delivering a line in just a super weird, super funny way. So yeah, him not talking, just, okay, great. The final one, I think, was called Grand Isle. This one also 2019. He's not really the main character. He's one of the main characters, but I think the kid, the guy who shows up to Nic Cage's house, he's kind of more of the main character. So basically, Nic Cage and his wife are weird. From the get-go, the movie is telling you that something's going on with them. Something is super weird. This guy shows up to fix their fence. He wants to leave, but there's a hurricane. His car won't start, so he ends up staying with them. The wife has already obviously been hitting on him, and she's like a hot, older woman. He hasn't had sex in 6 months because his wife had a baby and just doesn't feel ready. So, okay, they're gonna have sex, but obviously there's something else going on. There's this basement with a million locks on it. Something's going on in the basement. Come to find out, they are forcibly impregnating teenagers so that they can have babies, because earlier in the film, the wife said she always wanted a big family, but she couldn't have kids, so she's making teenagers have babies for them. You don't learn this until the very end of the film, and it's just said to you. There's narration, and it's like, yep, you never know what your neighbors are doing. The end. Wait, what? What? That's the only interesting part of this movie, and you totally gloss over it. To be fair, you could do that in a really good way. If you had well-written story and interesting dialogue, you could do that, where at the end you find out this horrendous, awful thing and nothing is really shown, and it can still be really powerful and really awful. But this movie is not that. So you're just left with like, can we go back, please? It feels like the movie should have been about that. And also, I'm very confused. You say that they're impregnating these teenagers, but like, where are the babies? There aren't any babies. Earlier on in the film, they show some kind of baby toys, like up, not in the basement, in the main part of the house, but there aren't any babies. So what are they doing to the babies? Oh, and then they say that 2 7-year-olds were found emaciated. That's a callback to the beginning of the film when some two Girl Scout girls show up to her door, and she's like, aren't you the sweetest thing? And yeah, so it's like, okay, obviously she somehow kidnapped these little girls and is starving them. Okay, so what? Are the teenagers having the babies and then they're like killing the baby? It's all very confusing, but I will say Nic Cage does have 2 funny, good Nic Cage parts. There's a part where he's at the dinner table with the guy. He asks him,
when was the last time you had your cock sucked?
And then later on in the film, he's like tied to a banister and he's all bloodied and he's just kind of going crazy Nic Cage. And that's kind of fun, but that's it. Honestly, the funniest part is when they finally go into the basement, the police get there. Oh my God. And how the police get there, how they figure out or how they come to accept the kids' version of events that something's going on in their basement, in their house, is just so ridiculous. But anyway, the cops get there, they get the basement door open. The next thing you see is a like huge gray concrete looking wall. She's walking down, it's like a hallway and there's doors, and she opens the door and like a girl falls out. She's obviously like, she's been like drugged or something. And that's all you see of the basement, like a room, a weird hallway thing that clearly was not in their basement. Like, could they not find an actual basement? It's just so jarring and it's so funny. Point is, don't see Grand Isle. Terrible movie. So those are my thoughts on Nic Cage's movies. Those are just 4, and there are so many more. So maybe it's not an adequate sample size. Maybe I should watch the rest of Nic Cage movies on Hulu. They actually have a whole label that's like the Nic Cage collection. Oh my God. I mean, there is something about him that is, you want to keep watching him. I just wish he were in better movies. They can still be bad. They can be bad movies, but they have to be fun bad. They can't just be mediocre, boring bad. That's it. Thank you for watching. Let me know your favorite Nic Cage movies down below. Either like genuinely good movies or good bad movies. I would love to know. And yeah, I don't know. How do I end this?